Dear friends, today we will talk about the tribals of the Tripura. As you know, Tripura is the one small state situated northeastern part of the country, and in this learning objective, by the end of the session, you should be able to know briefly the total scenario of the state, the geographical distribution of the tribes in the state, the socio-economic life of the tribes in the state, and the brief about the custom and traditions among the Tripuri tribes, that is one of the tribe in the state. If you see Tripura, Tripura is a very small state, area around 10,400 square kilometer, and population is approximately 36 lakhs as per the census of 2011. The special things about Tripura is it shares a very long international border, that is 856 kilometer, which is basically with the Bangladesh. And you may be surprised to know that Tripura was earlier as an independent state, but later on merged with Government of India on 15 October 1949. And earlier it was a not state, but gained its statehood by January 21st in 1972. Now we talk about the few facts of the Tripura. That Tripura is a very small hilly state situated in the northeastern part of the India, as we talked about. During the British rule, the whole geographical area of Tripura was known as Hill Tripura. It covers an area of 10,491 square kilometer, and as Tripura is a landlocked state, Tripura shared international border with Bangladesh, as I told you before, and the nearby districts are like Kumilla on the west, Sylhet district on the north, Noakhali district and Chittagong hill tract on the southern region, and Chittagong hill tract on the east. So if you see in this map, throughout the all around, only except some part of the east side, all directions it is covered, it is sharing border with the Bangladesh. The mainland of the India, Tripura is bounded by the Kasar district of Assam on the northeast and the Mizo hill of the Mizoram on the east side. Now if you see a map here, historical map of Tripura, which is published in the Bengal Gazetteer in 1907, here the Tripura name was in the British era Hill Tripura, and there is another one area you can see named Tripura, which is basically a zamindari system of the kingdom of Tripura, which was started since Mughal era. I think in this map also you can see that geographical area are the two different things. Tripura is the one which is basically plain surface, which is right now in the Bangladesh, and Hill Tripura was the present Tripura state as under this British government. Now if we see geographical situations, we have already described many things, and now if you see Tripura is a quite good, has a good rainfall, and this border and it is sharing a very good rainfall of the country. Now if we see the source of the Tripuri language is basically origin from Tibetan Burmese origin, and it is descended from the Kasari language, and the Tripuri or Kokborok language, Bodo language, Garo, they are basically same kind of things. So many people, they believe that the Bodo language is the source of Tripuri language or Kokborok language. The language of the Tripuri tribes are generally called Kokborok language, which is a government recognized second language of the Tripura. As per the populations, when we talk about the as per the census 2011, the total populations of Tripura was 36,73,917, and out of that there are around 31% people belongs to the indigenous people and tribal populations. This is unfortunate that Tripura itself is a tribal state, but the people migrated from the East Pakistan and Bangladesh, they increased so much that they are now around the 70%, and the indigenous people become minority, and the rest of the people are consisted mainly with the Bengali people. And there are 19 scheduled tribes in Tripura as per the schedule of India. If you see the 19 tribes of the Tripura, then their names are like Tripuri, Riang, Jamatia, Chakma, Halam, Nuatia, Mog, Kuki, Darlong, Garo. Munda, Lusai, Orang, Santal, Uchoy, Khasi, Bil, Lepcha, Butia and Chaimal. Out of this, the Tripuri, Riang, Jamatia, Halam, Nuatia, they are the predominantly or indigenous tribe of Tripura, and many other smaller community like Munda, Orang, Santal, Vil, they are basically brought by these British as a tea plantation workers, and later on they settled in Tripura. And if you see the Khasi, Garo, Lusai, they are basically migrated from the nearby state, and they become settler in Tripura and part of the tribes of the Tripura. Now, among these major tribes, as I said, Tripuri, Riang, Jamatia, Chakma, Halam and Nuatias are these major tribes, and some of the minor tribes migrated quite recently. All these tribes like Garo, Khasi are particularly by the authority and patriarchal linear by descent, and most of these tribes are strongly united themselves through village organizations, corporations and fellow feelings among their members. Collective worship of God and goddesses, shifting cultivations is prevalent over there. If we see cultural practice among the majority of the common practice of the Tripuri community, that is the tribal community, then love marriage is common, and negotiated marriage like marriage decided by the parents are also prevalent among the tribal. The communities either cremated their bodies or buried them as per their faith. Most of the tribes, their custom of their cremation of their bodies or they bury as per their traditional faith, and their ancestor worship is very common. Their tribes are basically having custom of disposing their bones in the water as per their faith, and there are four predominant religion, mainly the tribal religion: Hinduism, Buddhism and Christianism. The Islam among the tribes are very rare, and tribal religion is still practicing by many of the people, and there is an overlap between the tribal religions and Hinduism, because tribal religion they also worship the animistic, they worship the some form of bamboo or some kind of statue. So many often it was observed as a overlapping among this tribal religion and Hinduism thing. Most of the tribal have their own custom and belief, because every group of people has their own customs and practice, which are basically mixtures of their tribal indigenous rituals, or maybe Hinduisms, or maybe some traditional religions which is observed among themselves. Now, if you see, the every tribal has their own distinct wear or cloths which is made by them. The cloth textures is thick, and in traditionally they used to produce their own thread from the cotton which they used to grow in their Jum cultivations. The men used to wear the turban and some narrow piece of cloth at the lower part, and the upper part of the male is normally remain open because the climatic conditions it used to be very humid, and the women wear a long piece of cloth on the lower garment which is called rignai or pasra. If you read the literature there, because most of the literatures were written by the non-tribal people, so many terms you will encounter this kind of pasra which is name given by the non-tribal people. But among the tribal people, their terminologies are different, and they call this piece of cloth as a rignai. They cover the breast with a small piece of cloth that called risha. Both the rignai and risha, the women's, they produce themselves, they wave their home by themselves, and they also prefer to wear ornaments, and the ornaments particularly in earlier days the ornaments used to be silver. The housing conditions, many tribal settlements are distributing on the hill, slopes or hillock area and are often surrounded by the trees and forest. The houses are commonly constructed with the local available material like mud wall, wood or bamboo or some kind of grass, and sometimes the houses are raised on the platforms of varying height from the ground, because in a mountain or forest area there are lots of insects, snakes or some animals are coming. In earlier days lots of elephant also used to come, so they used to make the house little bit up from this ground. And tribal men are experts in making basket, and particularly women are weaving cloths. And every tribal house has a weaving set commonly called ri thanti. That ri is basically cloth and thanti means by which they prepare the dress. Now we talk about the particularly Tripuri community. Tripuri community is the largest community group among this Tripura, and their surnames are Deborma. Many people start Deborman also, and as per the census of 2011, their population is around 5,92,000, and they are mainly located in West District, but across the state their settlement can be observed. And the Tripuri are basically subdivided into 12 hodas or group according to the type of work which they used to entitled to perform in the darbar of the earlier Maharajas. They are mainly Basal, Suik, Kuatia, Dait, Tangsi, Hujuria, Sitalia, Epia, Sathalia, Devrai or Galim, Sera, etc. The aforesaid different community of the Tripuri are mainly have assimilated with each other in generally. They are, although they are belongs to different group, but they are working together on their basis of the linguistic character and the socio-economic culture and distinctive of the Tripuri clan. Population can also be divided into 3 groups, and these mainly 3 groups are like BERI, DONA and DASPA. There are some specific cultural distinctiveness of the aforesaid 3 group are also found, and they are follows like this. The BERIs are basically expert of weaving, where the Daspas are farmer for their skilled in handicraft. The Duna possess the closer affinity with the royal family of Agartala. Now if we talk about the BERI community, although they are part of the Tripuri community, BERI groups are mainly concentrated in the entire like Kamalpur subdivisions, including northeastern part of the Khwai subdivisions. The village like Behlabari, Basaibari and Asarambari are the across the Atharamura area that range they are located, which is particularly the bank of the Khwai river. And if you see the BERI are basically they are when they talk their raw is basically R is basically raw is basically talked as a law. Like if we say berry, but they will say belly. If we say star, they will say stall, like this. So if we say tara, then they will say tala, like this. So they are basically when they talk, then it is very easy to identify. Now after mixing with the lots of group, they are very much refined, but still if they talk, then most of the time they will say last part as a la, tamaklai la, like this. So BERI is the one community among the Tripuri which is very distinctive by their linguistic group. Same the Daspa group also, they are habiting in the rest of the Khwai subdivisions, and their Sodar Sahab divisions under this Mohanpur and Jirania blocks, they say. Daspa are distinctively identified when they speak sa, like tamoklai sa. That kind of sa word is coming. So normally when we talk, we say, do you say sa or la? If you say sa, means they are Daspa. If you say la, then they are from BERI community. This is the common things practiced. And Duna community are also means observed, and they are also having a very distinctive linguistic features, and they are mainly concentrated in the Bisalgar block, which is the part of the southern part of the southern divisions, and they are saying this word like ba, tama klai ba, klai tong ba. So that but the same tama klai ba, it can be said by this Daspa group tama klai tong sa, but the BERI group may say tama klai tong le. So there are different groups, they the same things, they are linguistically different. These Tripuri groups are basically a non-vegetarian group. Rice is their staple food, and they are fond of this alcohol drink which they prepare at home. They called it chuak or butuk or langi. They are also consuming the smoked tobacco through this daba, or you can say habul babul, and they chew the betel nuts and leaves regularly, and land is their major source of income. There are settled cultivations in the traditionally occupations of the people, and the Tripuri man excel in bamboo basket and making lots of things with the bamboo, while these women are adapting and very good in weaving and embroidery. If you see, the bamboo is the one component which is influencing the all tribal communities starting from the birth to the death, because the every aspect of the their life is basically governed by this bamboo. Like bamboo food, they called it miya, is very popular among this all tribal community, and it is also observed in a particular Tripuri group. Among this other food habit, they are also very good in, they also love to consume like sakhai, gudok. Sakhai is the basically one item which is made of by mixing the soda, and the mosodeng is basically crashing these chilies and mixing with this vegetable, and these are the two items which is basically loved by all Tripuri community, and like the chakhai and gudok. The birth ritual are also observed among the Tripuri community, and it is mainly assisted by the Kumajak and Lokmajak, and they give the nickname to their born, and wine and food are offered as a gratitude to the Kumajak and Lokmajak. And in the interior area where it is still practiced that 7th day of the birth of the baby, when the umbilical cord is fallen and it is burnt in the one of the corner of the house, and they called it, and later on it is means thrown it out, and they called it thapla kibiu. Thapla means ash. When they burn it, it become ash, and the kibiu means throw it away. So this is how the birth ritual has observed among this Tripuri community. If you see the related to the marriage ritual about the marriage, the Tripuri lineage are basically patriarchal and are supposed to be regulated by the marital alliance, and negotiations and service, mutual consent, and the elopings are on the way. This observed gradually. Monogamy is the conventions, and the women used vermilion as a sign of their marriage traditionally, but people who adopted Christianity and other faith, they do not apply that, but traditionally many women they applied it. The rituals are basically changing over the period of time. Earlier days, women are not used to pay dowry, but these days this giving dowry among this Tripuri community is quite common, and this marriage is observed among this bride's place, and there are celebrations of like they are worship the Lampra Puja and the Wathop. They are carried out by this Ochai, which is a synonym of the priest in their community, and the after marriage is over, in the bride's place, the post-marital residence is basically patriarchal, and both they observe in the nuclear family either or the extended family or joint family among this Tripuri community. The Tripuri preferred to be a religions, their own tribal or indigenous religion or Hinduism, and some of them adopted Christianity. The Goria Puja is one of the oldest religion celebrations among the Tripuri, like the other Kokborok speaking people, and there are many other worship is carried out by the Tripuri community like Burasa, Mailukma, Khuluma, Songtrang, Choddo Debuta, Care. These are the many other god they used to worship. They are worshipping those god in the different period of time. They also celebrate the Hangrai in the mid of the January. Their ritual, whenever we see, they traditionally cremate their bodies, and the eldest son is the person who is basically offering the rites of the deceased, and the other family members also take turn into this lighting of this prey, and the that is normally mourned by these 12 days, and during days they are having traditions of eating vegetarian food, and at the end of the 12 days the Shraddha ceremony they carried out by the local priest or called Ochai, and many family members they joined in that gathering, giving the last rituals or respect to the gratitude to the that persons in that family. Culturally they perform various kind of songs. Among them, the Jadu Kolija is the one of the most predominant, and this is the type of songs based on the love and romance, and all type of songs can be means included that, and it can be performed by any persons in the community. Beside this, they are also having songs for the Samri Tumani, Hamjuk Tumani. Samri Tumani means when they send the groom to the bride's place, or Hamjuk Tumani means when they bring the bride to the groom's place. Those are the different kind of songs they are also performed in their communities, and there are different occasions like the particular songs for the grief, and when the person is dead, that kind of songs are also observed. And Hojagiri is the one of the their worship god. Basically for this, it is carried out for this harvesting related things, and which is observed after this Dashera Puja, the full moon time. You can contextualize along with the Lakshmi Puja, and this during that time they worship the Mailuma god, and their dance carried out the dance, and they called it Hojagiri dance, which is very famous among the Tripuri community. Goria MWTAI is also observed by this community and during the mid-April, and Lord Goria is basically a god of the war and victory, and it is celebrated by the almost all indigenous group of the Tripura in a different form, and the animal sacrifice is common during this Goria Puja, and all members of the community they celebrate this Goria Puja very seriously. Beside this, there are also Choddo Debuta. This Care Puja is the one of these very predominant cultural event among this Tripuri community, and there are 14 gods named like Lampra, Akatra, Bikitra, Burasa, Thunai Rock, Boni Rock, Songongma, Motai Kotor, Tuima, Songram, Noksuma, Noksu Mutai, Mailukma, Khuluma, Sakal Mutai. These are the predominantly 14 god they celebrated by this one place, like as a Choddo Devta things, Choddo Devta as a god, and it is very very important event for the all Tripuri community in their own state. So here I would like to say thanks for listening this lecture, and I hope this lecture is very much benefited for all of you. Thank you very much.